All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you again, everybody, for taking out the time today to join me for our webinar. My name is Vin, and today's webinar will be covering the scheduling aspects of Knowify, including task management. So just moving forward here, a quick introduction of myself. For anyone that hasn't worked with me in the past, either through the support side, I am Vincent Ferruzza. I work with our product team here in Knowify, and I look forward to these webinars every week as a chance to kind of just give anyone that's been using Knowify some more detail on some of the different topics and features that Knowify offers. So we'll be continuing these webinar sessions to cover different aspects. We certainly appreciate any feedback. If you guys have a topic or question in particular that you'd like us to set up a webinar for, and our webinar series continues again tomorrow with my associate Taryn. So please be sure to tune in then. If you're interested, it's at the same time as today. Now, today's webinar, again, we're primarily going through the scheduling portions of Knowify. So what we'll do is start off with the corporate calendar, which is the high-level view, kind of just giving us an idea on a company-wide level how our jobs are scheduled, and I'm able to cycle on a month-to-month basis to view this. We'll then move to the next step, which is drilling down a little bit further into the job board. The job board, great feature, one of definitely in my top 10 favorites. It lets you still adjust your date range and time frame to view all jobs that are scheduled, but the job board is what you'll use to actually schedule your employees and resources onto these projects. You're also able to do a lot of neat things there, like set the dates for these jobs, kind of move around the different phases of work under a job. We can see who is scheduled to work and when, so we get an idea of kind of where everybody is at on a given day. So it helps make things easier when I'm looking for a particular type of employee to schedule onto a project. And we'll also show the amount of hours that were budgeted for each phase. And this way, when I'm setting up the schedule, I can see how many hours we estimated, how many hours we've logged so far, and also use that information to help schedule from that point forward. Now, I just want to make a note here. You'll see the next part here is the resource board. The resource board is a little bit more condensed version of job board. You're able to still use it to schedule employees onto jobs, but the resource board is available just for the plus accounts, while the job board falls under our advanced scheduling, and it's only available for the growth and enterprise packages. So I want to walk through both just so you can see which scheduling part is included in your subscription, as it's pretty much an alternative one or the other once we get to this step. Lastly, we'll go over task management, and it kind of fits under the scheduling umbrella in Knowify because we're able to set up reminders and assign tasks to different employees. This way, we can set a deadline. They actually see this on their mobile application. We can provide details and have the employees see exactly what they have to do, when they have to get it done by, and then mark them as complete. So we'll circle back there before the end of the session. And as I'm going through, we will set aside some time at the end for open Q&A. So you can actually use the Q&A button within the Zoom application to submit a question. I don't have to wait till the end. You can submit it as we go, but we will address them as soon as we finish covering the standard webinar flow from top to bottom here. All right, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and move over into our test Knowify account here so that we can start the process. So now I should be able to see my screen, which starts off here on our dashboard. So one of my test accounts here, and today we're just going to focus on the scheduling part. So I'm not going to touch too much on this other the other features here. But I guess under the scheduling, we do like using this team activity section here so that, the scheduling sets up what we're planning on employees working on, but the team activity here shows me in real time an updated list of, who is checked into a job, how long they've been checked in today, and I can hover over for more detail about which job and how many hours so far. Another key piece of Knowify is communication with our employees. And this team activity box actually gives me the ability to send a notification to my employees. If they're set up with Knowify's smartphone application, they'll automatically get a push notification. So essentially the equivalent of a text as far as their alerts go, with whatever message and information I input here, and I can select one or more employees at once. This is an option if you want to manually let someone know of a scheduling change, but I'll show you once we get into the job board how you can actually automate this process once we schedule or change somebody's schedule. Knowify will actually prompt us and ask us if we want to send a reminder or a notification to let the employee know of the scheduling change. This is just kind of a more manual setup. So if you just wanted to get a message to our crew, I can use this Notify Crew button up here in our dashboard under Team Activity. So first, where we're going to start, you'll actually be able to get to the corporate calendar in two different locations. It's the same calendar either way, but you can actually come here into the dashboard and you'll have corporate calendar at the top. Or we can use the scheduling module here. And this is basically where we're going to kind of focus on today. So once I click the scheduling module, it automatically brings me to the corporate calendar. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is essentially the 20,000, feet view here, where I actually see high level where my jobs are scheduled over the course of a month. So I'm not actually scheduling any employees onto the jobs in this section here, but it gives me a good idea to plan ahead and also check back on previous months. So I can see not necessarily who is working, but which jobs that we have scheduled work for over the course of a month. And I can, again, cycle forwards. I can also check back to previous months. But this will let me see, and I can do this for each phase within a job. So I'm not limited to just seeing a job here. We can actually set up dates, start and end dates for each individual phase of work underneath the job. So this will kind of give me a breakdown of that here. And I also have some tricks and tools I can use in this section here as well. For example, if I need to reschedule something, instead of having to jump through hoops and locate the job and plan and track and manually change the dates, I can simply drag and drop here. This is completely interactive so that we can adjust the schedule for any of these open jobs or phases here. This is a one-day service job, so it's pretty straightforward, but I can do something similar with our contract work where they're scheduled over the course of, extended period of time. You'll see that if I hover over towards the beginning or the end of a scheduling allocation, I can actually use this as a way to shorten or extend how long I'm planning on having this job phase open for. So it just makes it easier for me to kind of make quick adjustments here on the go. And we'll touch on the tasks later, but you can see that this is very much a part of the scheduling aspect, as I will be able to see when tasks are due on this corporate calendar. And the same thing goes for bids. When you first create a job in Knowify, you can actually set up when the bid is due. And this is something that additionally will show up here on this corporate calendar for our reference. I guess the last part here before we move on is this is a printable. So you can actually, this is a relatively new feature that we added in, but you'll see this throughout the scheduling today that you have the ability to print screens directly from your browser here in Knowify. All right, so moving to the next step here is our job board. Again, I'm a little bit biased. This is one of my favorite Knowify features. Here, by default, what it's going to do is show us a 2-week span and all the jobs that I have scheduled within that time frame. I can go ahead and cycle across, so I can, go back or forwards as far as how I want to show my jobs here when I want to plan for. But yeah, I mean, essentially, this will let us. It's interactive, and it gives us the ability to check out a time frame that is, what we're looking for here as far as scheduling. We also have the tools here in the bottom right where I can actually zoom in or out of the job board. So if I want to drill down, instead of 2 weeks, back down to 1, I can zoom in a little bit further here. So it's a little bit more precise now in this time frame. I can go further over a course of just a couple of days here, maybe 1, 2, or 3. And I can actually go down to the point where I'm looking at one single day here on the job board. So this will let me actually get more specific with the hours that I'm scheduling an employee, rather than just, placing them on the job and assuming that they're going to be there for the whole day. So really neat tool here. You can get as specific as you need with your date range, whatever's easier for you when it comes time to scheduling. Now, a lot going on here. You'll see on the left-hand side, we do have the full list of our resources, and it's actually filtered and grouped together by their role. When you set up each user, obviously you're able to assign a role as a way to group employees together. And this is no different here. We actually group everything together by their role. Now, if it's easier for you, you can actually toggle and group them by department instead, which is another part in your admin section that you can set up to group employees. If you have divisions in your company, and this is easier when you're scheduling residential, commercial, things like that, you can toggle that on and off as you see fit. And then on the job board itself, this is a list of my projects here that have been scheduled, and their start and end date is, falls within this range that I have up here at the top, my 2-week range starting today. And again, you can cycle across, and I can check ahead and go back to double check those scheduling allocations. And then I guess the last part of the aesthetics here is have the option to filter this even further. What I mean by that is you can use this show box here so that you can show contract jobs, service jobs, and/or closed jobs. So I can turn this on or off so that I'm seeing all jobs instead of just my contract work. I can even go one step further and just look at my service jobs. And I can also toggle the closed jobs so that this way, if the job has been closed, it'll still be available for me to see here on the job board. And you actually have the option as well to filter by an employee name or a job name. So for example, I can come in here and type in the name of one of my employees. I'll use Chris as an example. And what this does is it narrows down the job board so that I only see the jobs that Chris is scheduled over this time frame. I can do this also for the actual name of the job if that's easier. If I want to just kind of drill down and see a particular project, I can do this as well by searching the name of the job. Now, once I look at the left-hand side, you'll see that I have these color-coded dots underneath each employee's name. And what this does is, at a glance, it'll let me know who is scheduled on which job and when. So, I can see, for example, Chris, he's scheduled on 2 different jobs. I can hover over, see which ones they are. Same thing with my guy, David, over here. He's scheduled on a lot of work this week. But I can actually click each date here at the top so that those dots are only showing if the employee is scheduled to work on that particular day. By default, when I come in here, I haven't clicked on any dates, so it's just kind of giving me who is scheduled this week. Or this 2 weeks. But, I can actually click a specific day here, and you see how it removes the allocations of anyone that's not scheduled for that date. So this is definitely a useful tool where, for example, let's just say on Monday, I need to find somebody who is available. I click Monday, I can see who is scheduled, who is not, and this makes it easier for me to find somebody available. And the role comes into play as well. Basically, you can actually come down here and I can look at the scheduled resources, and it'll actually show me the amount of hours that have been logged against the amount of hours that have been budgeted. So for example, I might be looking to schedule another foreman here because we haven't completed what we initially estimated. This is obviously comes in handy because I'm able to see the foreman group here who is available, and then I can go ahead and schedule them onto a job. Also, just real quick, I noticed that we're getting some questions into the chat. If you have any questions, obviously we'll address them at the end, but I would ask that you use the Q&A button. This makes it a little bit easier for us to manage. We would ask that you just use the chat part of Zoom if you're having any issues with connecting with audio or with the video. But we will get to any of the questions that have been logged in the Q&A portion at the end of the session. Thank you. So just coming back here, in order to schedule somebody, so I started by clicking my employee that I want to schedule on the job. You'll notice that once I click one or more employees' names, it will wind up showing all jobs that are open over this time frame and give me the ability to schedule them full-time or custom time. So we'll get to the resource board in a minute, and that has the drag and drop functionality. But basically, with the job board, you're essentially clicking one or more employees on the left and then clicking in the job board to assign them to the project. So just continuing my example here, I have my job number 555. I need some more foremen on this. I have a couple of my foremen selected, and I'll go ahead and either schedule them full-time or for custom time. Now, when I do full-time, what it does is it just makes sure that myself scheduling them onto this project, they're going to be scheduled to work on this job phase for as long as the phase is open. Right here, you can see it ends after Friday. But, you know, if this phase was scheduled for another couple of weeks, they would be scheduled on the job for the duration. And as you can see by having multiple dots here, we don't limit to how many jobs an employee can be scheduled. Basically, when they pull up their app, they're able to see all of the jobs they're scheduled on for that date right there on their home screen. So it actually makes it easier for them as well, where they can just check into which job they start at. They can switch, check out, and check into the next job they're working on. Or if they're not working on one of those jobs that day, they can easily do it separately tomorrow. The other option, and before I get into it, here you see at the top right, any of my employees that are set up with the mobile application, I have this notification pop up in the top right here in blue. And this will let me actually send a push notification to let these employees know that the schedule has either been changed or has been created. So I'm able to click this in the top right to initiate, and you'll see that it automatically selects those two employees here that I've scheduled. I can add anyone as well if I want them to get the message or just see what's going on. And here I can customize a message where if they're not using the mobile application, it will still notify them by sending them an email. Otherwise, they'll be able to see an actual notification come through on their phone, similar to a text, where it uses Knowify's app to send them a push notification. So makes it easier where we automate this process so that once you schedule somebody or adjust somebody's schedule, all you have to do is click that blue button in the top right, and that'll actually initiate the process of you know, notifying them through their app. Now we did the full-time, just real quick here, I want to show you what custom time gives. If they're not, we don't want to schedule them for the duration of that job phase. We want to get more specific. You have the optional feature of clicking custom time here. And what this does is instead of just scheduling them, it opens up an additional box so I can customize further what type of schedule I want to add. You'll see that I have the employee that I had selected on the left. If I missed somebody, I can always go ahead and add them here as well. And now I can, pretty straightforward, set up my start and end date. So maybe we're going to have them start next week on Monday. We're going to have them work for the duration of the week. And, we'll have them get to the job site a little bit earlier, but they can leave a little bit earlier as well. I can then use the scheduling notes portion so that once they pull up this job on their smartphone application, they're actually able to see any kind of notes that I enter into this box. So if we wanted to include any information, so that this way, not only are they scheduled and, see it on their phone, but now we can actually show them and demonstrate what they have to do. And then also you see I have my checkbox here for notify of scheduling change. So this is pretty much the equivalent of clicking that blue box. It will let me send a push notification to these employees to let them know that the schedule has been updated accordingly. So yeah, I mean, that's the majority of the job board. Wanted to also show how you can print here as well, just like with the corporate calendar. And the last button that I didn't touch on is the plus here. This is also a neat feature. Right now you see my jobs are already showing up here because I have a start and end date set for them. I can use this menu here so that I can adjust the start and end date. I can notify anybody on this crew. I can edit the description of their work, and I can quickly unschedule if I needed to. So this is for jobs and phases already set up, but I can use the plus button here so that I can actually schedule a start and end date for a job that's not already on the job board. This way, I don't have to jump back out of my schedule, go into the plan and track and set the dates there. I can simply come here, select my job, select which phase I want to schedule, and then put in the start and end date right here on the job board. And this will automatically add it. So now I have my new job here and I can start scheduling my employees as needed. All right, cool. So moving on to the resource board. And again, the resource board is available to anyone currently subscribed to the Plus plan. We also don't limit you to the resource board. So like, for example, if you're on the growth or enterprise package, but you find that you like the resource board better, we can always enable that for you. And just switch the job board to the resource board. The job board, I feel, does give you a little bit more, but the resource board, it has a different type of flow. Where the job board, everything's driven by the actual project and then adding employees there. You'll notice as I walk through here that everything here in resource board is driven by the employee, where instead of us adding employees to a job, we're adding jobs to an employee's schedule. So some people find this winds up being easier for them, so they can actually see, on this on the main board here, I have my list of employees on the inside. So I can see all the jobs that they're working on. And if, for example, I need to, have them work on another project, on the left-hand side, instead of my list of employees, I have my list of jobs here, which I can filter. I can just look at jobs that are not scheduled yet or, cycle through here. I can also search. So for example, I'm looking at my resource board. I'm looking at what jobs I have everybody working on. And I see my employee Glaber here. He's not really scheduled on anything for tomorrow or Friday. And I need some of this work here on my project, the rough carpentry, to get done. So now what I do is I can drag and drop. I can take the rough carpentry here and I can assign it to Glaber for tomorrow. And I can also use the allocation box to get more specific. So in this case, I'll take that rough carpentry, I'll assign it to Glaber. I'll adjust the allocation so that he's doing it for the rest of the week. I'll notify him of the change and put in a note so that he's highly motivated. And this way, I see for Glaber that, his week is now full. Now I see from left to right, Sunday through Saturday, I can see which jobs he's scheduled on here. You can always click them for more information about which job, which allocation, and we have the notify button pretty much all over now. So it really makes it easy for you to keep in touch with your employees and to kind of update them of any changes, and so that the communication is key, to running a successful business, obviously. So this is definitely built into all aspects of the scheduling to kind of help automate this process. And with the resource board, it's not as interactive with how many dates you can have, but it does let you cycle between 1 week and 2 weeks. So if I want a larger view here, just based on how many days we want to look at once, I can cycle there 1 week and 2 weeks, and then I can also go back and forth, in the arrows here, so that I can choose a different week. So it's not limiting you. You can still get forward and back, but it's not as interactive on the job board level. Still, we have our list of employees on the left. It totals the amount of hours I'm going to have them scheduled over this time frame by default. And then I can always remove an allocation if needed. I can just come in here, select the job under the employee, and then click delete. And that's essentially the basics with the resource board here. Again, you can use the filter on the left-hand side so that you can cycle through which jobs are showing up here. And again, you're able to search to narrow down even further. But I would say, just keeping this in mind, the primary difference is job board is driven by the project, where we want to see how long each project is open for, and then add people to it based on what I had estimated. The resource board is driven by the employee. So if I want to just come in here, see where everybody's working, what everyone's doing on a daily basis over the course of 1 or 2 weeks, and then be able to assign jobs to them that way, the resource board is more focused on the employee schedule. The last topic I want to touch on here is the task management feature. And another feature I'm really excited about as well. Task management is built in for a number of different uses. Really, there's no wrong way to use it, and we see it utilized in a wide variety of manners. It was basically designed essentially for setting up reminders, so that something that not necessarily going to show up on that scheduling allocation. Maybe it's a detail that we want one person to know and not everybody scheduled on the job. Also, a way to kind of set deadlines so that an employee can come in, look at the outstanding tasks that they have to do, and be able to mark them off as complete, and easily manage the types of work that don't necessarily fall in under a standard scheduling allocation. You can see some common tasks that we see used are with proposals and sending out for signature. It's not necessarily something you would schedule as part of actually doing the work, but these tasks help us schedule our project managers and guys in the office rather than just the field. So we can remind them that, we actually need to follow up on this proposal. This customer hasn't answered, so I want to set up a reminder here. If we haven't heard back from them over, a week or so, we want to make sure to put in a note so that we can, come in and set up a follow-up reminder. It extends to all different aspects of Knowify, not limiting to just work complete. So let's go ahead here, and before I create a new task, just give you an idea how the interface, we've made a lot of neat updates here as well. You can actually now sort the tasks section, and just before I jump in here, the tasks feature is also only available on the growth or enterprise packages. So I can actually search and sort here with some more options based on whether I want to see tasks and who they were assigned to, or if I want to see a list of tasks based on who created them. So, I can come in here and see the tasks that were assigned to me, or, I can jump down and let's see, I can see, the tasks that are assigned to my guy Glaber here. I can see based on it being blue, it is due today, but I'm not overdue. And based on it being red, I can see that this task wasn't marked as complete by the deadline. So just giving me a color cue. And I can also show history here. So once a task has been marked as complete, I can still access it. I can still see when it was marked as complete and, particularly what was done there. And I mean, going one step further, I can even search here as well. So if I want to see all tasks that had something to do with a proposal, you can come in here, type in proposal, and I get that breakdown as well. Now I'll go ahead and add a new task to give you an idea of all the different options available. The description is basically the task name. This is what's going to show up here in this menu. So I'll put in a task like follow up on the Johnson remodeling proposal. And I'll set a deadline here and I'll say, maybe we sent the proposal out today. I want to check in on them if we haven't heard back by the end of the week. Now, the additional information here, this is all that's required to get started. I could put a task in here, and then under the created by and my name, I'll be able to see this task. But I want to go one step further. Under additional information, I can assign it to a person, put it under a job, and add additional comments. So for example, the job is optional here. You can always set up a task that isn't pointed to a particular project, or I can come in here and search. And, I can choose the job so that this way, if I'm assigning this task to somebody, they can pull up the information here and see not only what they have to do, but when it is due, which job it is for, and any of those relevant comments. Once I choose a job, I actually have the ability to select a phase as well. In this case, I think the proposal doesn't necessarily fall under a phase, but if I had something here like make sure to order materials, it might be more useful to select a phase in which we need those materials for. Now, under assign to, I can select one or more of my employees here that I want to assign this task to. When I'm assigning a task to somebody, it will notify them right away that they have a new task that has been assigned. It'll give them details on the deadline and what they got to do. Also, on the mobile application of Knowify, we have a separate section for tasks. So you're actually able to see a running list of tasks. It groups them together. It shows how many tasks are overdue, how many are still within reason, and I'm able to go ahead and actually mark tasks as complete from my phone as well. And that's also where it ties in with the scheduling, because I have the deadlines for these tasks, so I can see what's coming up, what's pretty close to being overdue, if not already overdue, and address them accordingly. And you're not limited to just one person. I can, for example, set up my sales lead and my project managers and just make sure that they all get this task. So between them, we need to follow up on the proposal. Last parts here, again, all this is optional, but I can put in a comment. Maybe I want to give them some more information about what was done previously, so they have that information available to them within the task. I can always go ahead and add anything here. This way they're clued in a little bit more as to what's going on. And I can also tag tasks as well, which really comes into play when I have a bunch of tasks. That list starts filling up, and I want to group them together. So this way I could put in a tag, and this way when I search this tag name, it'll just filter out all of the tasks that were assigned under that tag, making it easier for me to search and sort through this list. So once I go ahead and save here, this automatically adds the task, and Knowify updates this in real time now. So my employee gets a notification, or in this case, multiple employees, and they're also able to mark those tasks as complete. They can view the information. They can pull it up on their smartphone app. It is now available to all of them in the field. And on the office side, I can come in here and see information about this task as well. See, I got my follow-up on the proposal here. I can click to open it, and it gives me that information. So even if I wanted to make any adjustments or see if they've marked it as complete yet, I'll be able to see this here. I can also maybe extend the deadline and, say, I heard back from the customer and we're going to give them the weekend. This way, these employees get notified of the update here. And this is, again, just one of those useful tools that helps improve the communication between the office and the field, between all of the employees, so that everybody's on the same page. And also have my reminders here and my tasks so that everyone knows what they need to do and when. Once I complete a task, I can click the complete button on the app, or here in the on the office side, I can click the checkbox and this will lock it in as complete. Once I refresh here, it removes those completed tasks, so it's not cluttering up the list, but I can always click show history here, and this will let me see any tasks that were marked as complete beforehand. And the last part here that I want to touch on is the tasks report. Once you click task report, it'll let you set a date range that you want to include for tasks. So you can run this report as many times and as many variations as you need. Maybe we just want to see last week's tasks, or I want to see all tasks over this month. You're not limited here in any way. And let me see if I can get an example of this report to show you. This task report, it gets exported to a spreadsheet. So here I have over my date range, a list of the tasks here. I get the status of them. So I can see, pending, we're still on par with our deadline. I can see done, that these were marked as complete. And I can see overdue. So I can see the deadline was in July. This was marked as overdue. I'm going to want to check with this employee to make sure that they did in fact follow up on the proposal. Otherwise, we're going to have words. Now, under created, I can see who was created by and when it was created. So it's giving me all of this information here. So I have the details about the task. And then the optional information here, you'll notice some of them are blank because you're not required to assign it to a job. But if we do, we can see this here in its own column. I can see who the task was assigned to. And I can see any of those comments or tags that were added to this task as well. All right, so that's the majority of what I wanted to cover today. Let's just go over our checklist here. We did the corporate calendar, job board, resource board, and the tasks. I wish I can show you my phone and how the task management shows up there, but pretty much if you're using Knowify either on the web app or in the smartphone, it's right there on your dashboard, and we have a video that walks through that process. So if you need any more information, please, feel free to reach out to us on the support side, and we can always send you more details and answer any questions that you have there. With that being said, we have a little bit of time left over here at the end of the session. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Q&A here so we can walk through any of the questions that were submitted. And if you have any questions now, feel free to just submit them and we'll go over them one at a time. Okay, so first question here, we have, how do you set up and use paid time off and vacation in the schedule? Very good question. And just real quick, don't have a specific feature built for paid time off and vacation, but Knowify's internal projects winds up being a very useful tool for this. So let's walk through this. I actually have one set up as a common example. We'll go into our internal part of Knowify here, and you can see that I have several different ones set up here. One of them I have here is time off. I also have one for vacation. So just like any other project, I can set a start and an end date there. So this way I have and usually for that, I just set it for the course of the year. There's no wrong way to do this. So, I mean, you guys can, if you don't want it to show up on the schedule, you don't have to. But what I usually do is just come in here and I set the vacation and the time off internal projects over the course of the year, so that this way it's easy for me to come in, and when somebody requests that they need time off, I just go ahead and select that person. I have the paid time off internal project open here, so I can click custom time, and this will let me put in details. I can say, for example, Artemi, he requested off end of the month, so start on the 29th and end on the 3rd. put in any kind of relevant notes here or details. Where this will help us on the scheduling aspect is when I come into, let's just say we go towards the end of the month now, and I need to find somebody that's available to work for one of these jobs, and I click on the dates that I'm looking for employees to work. I'll be able to see Artemi here. He's got the color-coded dot that shows time off right there on the job board. So at least when I'm looking through here and I need a foreman for a job, I can see, all right, Artemi is off for this week, so he is not available for me to work. Additionally, this is just the scheduling portion, and I want to focus and stick to the scheduling, but just to kind of follow up with this process, another option you have is to log hours towards that paid time off or vacation time internal project. It works just like any other project in Knowify. It just makes sure that those hours and those costs do not factor into our overall profitability or with other jobs. But, for example, I can come into enter time here. I can choose the employee. I can see he's scheduled at the end of the month for time off. And I can come in here and enter, 8 hours for each day here. So this way, if I wanted to run a report as well, the scheduling side of it will help me when I'm planning other jobs to know that he's off. But by doing this, this will let me run reports. And then I can actually see total amount of hours for each employee under the time off internal project. So this way, at the end of the month, end of the year, I could run that report and I can see how many hours were spent under time off. And I don't know if you saw, I also have one for vacation and sick time. Guys can do that from their app as well. They can call in sick. We can tell them, okay, just make sure you indicate that on the app, and they can go ahead and put 8 hours towards the sick time. Easy for us to keep track on the office side. We can run the reports. We can pop into that internal project and just see how much time has been spent there, who has logged those hours. In this case, I can see Artemi and even Vin F, myself, had taken some days off. I can see the dates here, and I can run reports to get it all in one spreadsheet. So definitely a common question that comes up, and that's usually what we recommend. But again, there's no wrong way to do this. So if you have any questions or any way we can help with that, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, next question. Is there a way to schedule the same job for multiple different days? Example, 2 days, 1 week, 3 the next. Another very common and good question. What we usually recommend with this is to set up multiple job phases underneath the project. This way, when I pop into my job board here, I can see, for example, I have the rough-in site prep and the masonry phase. These are both under the same project, but they're both scheduled to, start and end on different dates. So this lets you break out the different phases of work, so you can schedule, first 2 days this week, and then I can jump into the masonry for 3 days next week. That is one option, usually what we'd recommend. Another option here is you can get more specific for the employee. Like, let's just say, for example, I schedule one of my employees here onto the job. You'll see that by selecting full-time, it put him on every day for the duration of this phase. Excuse me. What I can do is I can X out certain days. So this way he's only working Friday and Saturday this week, and then he's only working Monday and Tuesday next week. So the job itself, if we want to break out, within a particular project, I'd recommend using different phases for that. But if we want to break out for a given employee on work they're doing onto the job, you can keep them on the same phase and just make sure that the days that are actually highlighted here are the days we want them to work, and the rest will have them unscheduled. Next question, where do you access the task tabs from? So task is located at the top right next to your clients. If you don't see it up here, it's likely because you're not subscribed to the growth or enterprise package. If for some reason you are scheduled to that, subscribed to that, and you're not seeing the task tab up here, just please let us know via, support@knowify.com, or just click support down here and contact us. So this way we can straighten that out for you. Anyone that is subscribed to Growth or Up should have the tasks available to them up here in the top right, and that'll bring you to the main tasks dashboard here. Okay, next question here. In regards to tasks, when a task is marked as complete by the user assigned to the task, is the person who created it notified? Yes, I believe that the person is notified. Looking at the examples of the ones I just set up here, but all of my emails are fake, so they're all bouncing back. But yeah, that person who assigned the task, so if I'm the administrator and I'm setting up different employees on different tasks, I do get that notification here. It says task has been marked as completed, but more to the point here, I would want to come into the tasks. I want to go see tasks that I created, and this will let me, in this column, see each employee here. And this way I can kind of just jump in and see, all right, Chris marked this one as complete. He did it Wednesday, today. Glaber, he did not mark this one as complete. So this is like my dashboard here to keep track of this. But yes, I do believe you get an email that notifies you of the task completion. Okay, and thank you, Vanessa. So it looks like I got to the end of the Q&A section here. Does anybody else have any questions that or topics that fall under scheduling that I may or may not have covered, or just want more information about? Still have a couple minutes here if you have anything that I can provide more details on. And just want to also note here, the webinar today is being recorded, and it will be available within the next week or so, or coming days, on our YouTube channel. So we're recording this. If you ever want to come reference back to this, or anybody on the team that wasn't able to join us today, these webinars will be readily available to you, along with the rest of our customer support resources. And if anything that wasn't covered today, or covered and you need more information about, or something that you need help troubleshooting, like not seeing the task tab, you can always click the blue support button here at the bottom left. And this is really useful because depending on which page you're on, it'll actually start to suggest some of our articles. But I can go one step further here and start searching a particular topic. And this will give me a list of different tutorials and guides just to find more information about. And, if it's something that you want to go into a little bit more detail, we also offer training, so we can actually set up a screen share and walk you through a particular topic or questions that you have. Additionally, if you don't find what you're looking for here, or just want to, talk to a human, we're all set up here. You hit contact us, and this will reach our whole support team. We'll really strive to be great there, get back to you as soon as we can with as much detail as we can. All right, so it looks like we have two more questions that popped in. One is, we don't see the resource board, just the resource day. Is there a way to enable the board? Yes, thank you for bringing this up. I would like to note that the type of scheduling you have, whether you have job board or resource board, in my account, I have both just for demonstration, but you'll never wind up being in a case where it's both. Resource day is completely different than the job board. Resource day is part of the old Knowify scheduling and just gives us a way to pick one employee and on a daily basis see what they're working on. This can be accomplished pretty much within the job board and resource board. So, there's not much here that you wouldn't be able to get anywhere else, but resource day should be included with everybody's. The job board and resource board, if you're a growth or enterprise subscriber, you can pick which one you want, because job board falls under our advanced scheduling. But if you prefer the resource board, we can disable job board and give you access to that. So if you don't mind just sending us a email or clicking the blue support contact us, and opening a ticket. This will let us know so we can pull up your account. We can see what you're subscribed to, and then just let us know what you're interested in. We can walk through the options and enable for you, whatever is feasible there. The other way, though, if you're a Plus account and you have Resource Board and you're interested in Job Board, that would require an upgrade at least to the Growth package. And last question I have here, we have a need to look at schedule history. If we schedule in job schedule in May and we'll need to return in June, will the job stay on the schedule in May when we look back, or will the next entry overwrite the first entry for the job? Good question, and it depends. For example, under the job board, you're able to go back and view historical data and past scheduling. So by default, I can pop back into May. I don't have to scroll one at a time like this. We have better options for that. I can, choose my date in May, and I can see exactly what and who was scheduled, over the course of this month. So this will always be retained, and you'll always be able to access this. Now, if, for example, when I need to reschedule, instead of creating a new phase, I just go ahead and edit the past phase and change the dates for that. That might override it, because now it's going to take this and bring it to the current scheduling part. So what I would recommend is, if you want to keep this intact here, and just best practice, whenever you leave a job for a while and come back, whether it's do something different or not, your plan and track section is something you can always edit. It takes less than 30 seconds to go in and add a job phase. I would recommend that, just so that you have more control over the scheduling and it's easy for you to manage different site visits, especially when you have a job that's lasting an extended period of time and don't want to lose what you had started initially in May. So I would recommend just switching the plan and track to edit or budget mode, adding a phase, and then scheduling that phase to continue working, so that you'll have this job, they'll be nested underneath this job, but you'll have everything that was scheduled in May as well as anything you schedule now. All right. Looks like we got to the bottom of the questions here. So just want to thank everybody again for taking the time out to join us for this webinar today. Really appreciate it, and hope that it helps provide some more information about these topics. Again, we take your feedback very seriously. So if there's a particular topic in Knowify or question and you like to submit that as a potential webinar for the future, we're all ears always. Don't hesitate to reach out. And again, we have another webinar tomorrow, as well as Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week, 2 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're interested, please feel free to register. If you have any trouble finding the registration link, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we can send it over to you, as well as go over any questions you have on things that may or may not have been touched on today. Thanks again, everybody. And until next time, have a great rest of your day.